Good evening, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, and members of the Fifth Rev. This is an emergency meeting of the Southern and Middlebelt Leaders Forum. It took place on Wednesday, 19th November 2025 at Pandel's liaison office in Abuja. The meeting was chaired by His Royal Majesty Oba Oladipo Olaitan, National Leader of Afenifere, with other regional leaders in attendance. These included Dr. Pogu Beatrice, ably represented by the National President of the Middlebelt Leaders Forum, and Dr. Godnose Igali, National President, Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF. Delegations from the Southwest, Southeast, South-South included former governors, former senators, former members of Federal Executive Council, traditional rulers, and other leaders of thought from these parts of the country. That impinge on the sustenance of democracy as well as the economic and social development of Nigeria. Resolutions. After exhaustive deliberations, the meeting resolved as follows. Sustenance of democracy. SMBLF expresses grave concern over the turn of events in the national democratic space, especially as it pertains to the imperative of multi-party democracy and the sustenance of political pluralism. We therefore call on the leadership of the ruling political party to put a check on the rising tendencies of the camping and tilting political alliances without due consideration of ideology and political persuasion. Furthermore, SMBLF notes with very serious concern the state of factionalization and internal strifes which seems to be occurring among some of the main opposition political parties, in particular the very barbaric show of shame which occurred at the National Secretariat of the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, on Tuesday, 18th November 2025, that led separately by a serving minister in the cabinet of the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, on the one side, and serving governors on the other side. The meeting condemns in the entirety the deployment and brazen use of security and law enforcement agencies, officers, especially men of the Nigerian police force, for partisan political activities and disruption of the nation's nascent democratic evolution. We note with total disapproval the emerging nonchalance of the political parties, regulator, and electoral empire, the Independent Electoral Commission, now led by Professor Joash Amupiton, SAN, in taking timely actions to redirect the emerging political trends ahead of the 2027 general elections. Insecurity. The SMBLF notes with concern that despite the designation of Nigeria as a country of particular concern by the Trump administration and the attendant implications, insecurity continues to ravage large in the land, including the unfortunate recent killing of Brigadier General Uba and his colleagues in Borno State. Even more brazen is the abduction of students from Government Girls Secondary School Moga, Kebbi State. Other heightened incidents of insecurity were also reported in Kaduna State, including the killing of an abducted Ekwa pastor, James Audu Asaya. Others in Kwara State and Kogi during the same period. Reports reaching Middlebelt shows that those predominantly being killed are Christians and indigenous populations, and those carrying out these killings are predominantly Fulanis and Kanuris from within and outside the borders. Middlebelt calls on the federal authorities to put an immediate end to these violent acts of extremists, hell-bent on conducting ethnic cleansing and genocide within the territorial boundary of Nigeria. We convey our deepest condolences to the families of General Uba and his colleagues, as well as to the Nigerian Army at this challenging time. More importantly, we urge the federal government to deploy maximum resources to rescue the abducted schoolgirls. Middlebelt urges the federal government to take these developments most seriously and remain open to possible global partners, including the Americans, with sincerity and not take unilateral actions. The federal government is called upon to urgently make public program for the rehabilitation and resettlement of displaced and impacted families to their ancestral homes in the Middlebelt. That's the only way out. On national strikes, ASU and resident doctors. The forum notes the ongoing demands by the various unions of the academic community towards pending commitments by the federal government to its members, especially ASU. And we are calling on the federal government to continue negotiating with ASU to forestall any further strike. We are also calling on the federal government to complete negotiations with resident doctors and put an end to the ongoing strike action. Ordinary Nigerians who cannot afford private medical treatment are the ones suffering the ongoing strike. They are the ones suffering. We therefore call on the resident doctors to agree with the government to bring lasting solution to these issues and end strikes in the medical sector. This is the communique the SNBL for today. This is in Abuja, the 19th of November, 2025. Thank you, gentlemen of the press.
Thank you.
Take it.